Hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Independence League of Ireland preview video, joined today by Aidan Fitzmaurice to look ahead to 5 games on Friday night. Now, of course, it's the final round before the mid-season break comes in, and international football will soon take the focus, Aidan, but just this Friday night, there's 5 big games to look forward to. I suppose just starting off, Shamrock Rovers hosting Galway United. Rovers probably the informed team in the league at the moment, creating that little bit of a gap that they'll obviously want to extend going into the mid-season break. There's another big game on Friday night, Bohemians against Derry City. Bohs had been in pretty good form, but suffered that defeat in Drogheda last week. So 2 cracking games to look forward to.
Yeah, you were at the Rovers camp this morning. I know Stephen Bradley was asked if he didn't want the break to come. He said no, it's important to give the players a bit of a rest, bit of a break, and everyone to take a reset. But I think, being honestly, Rovers, look, 5 in a row, I think they'd want to keep going. I think everybody else needs a break just to take a step back or get players back or get players in. But Rovers just look to have everything going for them at the moment. I suppose Galway have the traditional strength for Galway has been their home form. I mean, they were exceptional in the first division. You know, they hardly dropped any points. That form has been tested a lot this year. Cork just Galway don't really have that resilience that maybe they had in the first few weeks. So I think Galway are one of those teams who do want that break, reset, a bit of a rest, and get back what they had so strong. But Rovers, just look, and added to the squad again this week with McGovern signing from Dungannon. And possibly more players to come in the window. Bohs, I think you will see a little bit of tinkling with the squad over the window. Looks like Seán Grehan will go back to Crystal Palace when his loan is up. So I suppose the interesting thing from that Bohs Derry game is Derry's record in Dalymount is exceptional. I was trying to work it earlier on, but I don't know if any club has a record in a specific ground away from home that Derry have in Dalymount. I think it's 1 defeat from the last 9. And most of those games they've won. So just something, I remember speaking to Rory Higgins about this before. When he was Derry player and manager, and he felt that he made his debut as a player in Dalymount for Derry. And since then, there was always something about Dalymount for him. And that's the thing it's one of those things that stats and everything else can't explain, but that insanely good record that Derry have in Dalymount.
You mentioned that I was in the Shamrock Rovers camp this morning. Speaking to Stephen Bradley, I suppose your natural thing to think is you don't want the break to come. They're on a really good run of form at the moment, 6 points clear, and obviously the likes of Derry and Bohemians have a game in hand, taking into account the European round. But yeah, as you said, Stephen Bradley saying just at the moment, especially the shortened pre-season they had with their Conference League run earlier this year, busy start of the season. He said usually you wouldn't want the break to come, keep the momentum going, but he said it's just no harm to rest a few bodies. They're just one or two injuries at the moment. They're getting the majority of their players back at the moment, like Danny Mandrew and others haven't had a lot of football now the last few weeks, but just they'll be wanting to extend that 6-point gap this evening, and Friday night I should say, and go into the mid-season break on a high. But just Aidan, that Bohs Derry game, Derry will be desperate to get back to winning ways after that really brutal result, losing Shamrock Rovers last week.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see as well what shape Derry are in after the break, because they've the fitness work Diallo has missed most of the season, and when he's fit, he more or less runs through midfield, so they haven't really had him for the last few weeks. For the last couple of months, Dummigan has been missing for a long time as well. I suppose the positive thing for Derry is getting Pat Hooban back. He's had a couple of minutes. I think last week might have been his first appearance in a while. Ronan Boyce, I think, is coming back as well. So Derry are one of those clubs I think will look forward to that reset. I suppose their advantage is they've got players on form. Mickey Duffy, Adam O'Reilly, people like that deliver more or less every week. They're giving 9 out of 10 performances every week. So it's kind of more the same just until the season finishes from Derry. Just see what they're like in the second half of the season.
That's a massive game. Dalymount, Derry third, Bohs in fourth, both tied on 27 points. So they'll be wanting to create that little bit of a gap going in the international break. Aidan, just the final 3 games on Friday night: Cork City hosting Shelbourne, Sligo Rovers hosting St. Pat's, and Waterford hosting Drogheda. But might just start with Cork City against Shelbourne. I was at Tulka Park last week, an absolute rollercoaster game. Damien Duff's champions beating Sligo 3-2. John Martin hat-trick, of course, and they'll be wanting to Shells coming into the game in 6th, and it's been before that Sligo win, it was a tricky run of results over the previous couple of weeks, but you win that and you're right back in the mix. There's only 3-point gap between Shells in 6th and Drogheda in 2nd.
Yeah, I think and Shells did look tired of the last few weeks, and they've had to change the team an awful lot. Mark Coyle missed one because he was suspended. I think his first game to miss this season. Evan Caffrey, 100th appearance last week, has probably been the most reliable player. The worry for Shelbourne, I suppose, is just they're how exposed they are at the back, the amount of goals they've conceded. They really had to work hard for that win over Sligo Rovers. And they're playing Cork City, who I just worked out the only team to not have a clean sheet this season. Team Truce, the goalkeeper, has probably been one of their players for the year, so that says an awful lot when he's played well for them and they haven't had a single clean sheet. They just look so open at the back. They really haven't been able to get that settled unit. They have the advantage of having Cathal O'Sullivan, but whether he'll be there in July remains to be seen. There will obviously be interest in him, whether Cork want to cash in now and try and sell him or try and keep him for the season, because they are in a relegation battle. They know that. So I think for Cork, I think if I was Jared Nash, the first thing I'd be looking for from this game is a clean sheet. I would bite the hand off now for a scoreless draw to stop that run of defeats, stem the tide, get to the break, and then see where they are.
And like a lot of teams, it's really hard this season to put together a run of form. Probably bar Shamrock Rovers, just St. Pat's coming into this game at the showgrounds in 5th, and it's been a tricky few weeks for them. I know they had a defeat last week, but they're still only 3 points off 2nd. But I saw Sligo Rovers last week put it up to Shelbourne, and that was a roller coaster game last week. The last time Sligo Rovers met Pats, Pats came out with a 4-3 win at Richmond Park. So, like, it's a cliche, but there really are no easy games in this league. And Sligo, we want them to go into the international break on a high as well. I know you were speaking to people in the Sligo camp this week.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of talk still about Owen Elding's goal last week, and it deserves the attention it's getting. And I suppose the one thing John Russell was saying, but they do have an awful lot of young players in that team at the moment, but they're playing without fear. Jada Kiki, who's really good form at the moment, earned an under-21 call-up. Elding, a lot of players who are probably knocking on the door of that, in Sligo, who are knocking on the door of that under-21 squad, the likes of McElroy, Elding, Reynolds, Hakiki, who's in there. I wouldn't be too worried. If I was a fan of support of Sligo Rovers or Cork City, I'd be far more content being a Sligo Rovers fan at the moment, because I do think they have the potential to get something. I think they can get something tomorrow. Pats have just been wide open at the back. It was a funny in the week that a month they've had leaking so many goals, and Joseph Anang gets called up to the senior squad for Ghana. He was on the bench. He didn't play against Nigeria, but I suppose that's a vote of confidence for him. But that's and Pats really need that back four that was so strong last year. They didn't give up goals. They're just wide open, and that's, I think, where Pats need to rebuild from the back, get the confidence back into Joseph Anang, get that steel back into the back four. Has changed an awful lot. Breslin has been in and out. Gravosti, Hoare seem to have Tom Gravosti and Sean Hoare seem to be in and out. It's not the established back four, which Stephen Kenny is probably renowned for. He built his teams around an established defence. So I'd be a little bit wary if I was a St. Pat's fan heading to Sligo.
I know there's a couple of Sligo Rovers players looking forward to their leave insert next week, but against the Saints this Friday, they'll be hoping to pass this latest test, I suppose. Aidan, for now, that's great. Thanks very much for that. You can follow all the latest build-up and reaction to Friday night's League of Ireland games with the Irish Independent.